Great day, good people, and welcome to the official campaign video of Friends to Elect Reggie Hill. My name is Reginald Joseph Hill II. I usually go by Reggie Hill. I am your narrator for this video as well. I am your candidate to represent the residents of District 2 and the citizens of the city of Mobile on the Mobile City Council. So as promised in our official campaign release that came out on January the 22nd, 2021, we are now launching this video informational on why I'm running this race and why I am the best candidate for the job. Now, unlike most campaign videos, this won't be your typical 2 to 3 minute sound bite, just trying to let you know what's going on. This is actually a documentary, something that you would see like on PBS or HBO, channels of that nature, which highlight the true story and essence of District 2. Throughout this video journey, you will see the specific heirlooms that truly make this place unique and the contributions that it gives not only to our city, but to the state, the country, and the world abroad. I'm so proud, I'm honored, I'm privileged, I'm humble to have this opportunity to address you all and pursue the right to serve in this capacity. I hope that you will look through this entire video and learn about what is so amazing with being a resident of District 2. Now, depending on how seasoned you are in life, you'll remember a time where we used handheld camcorders to capture those moments that were so important in our lives. And you'll also recall that after you got through recording one segment, you basically just close the camera or shut it off, and then you would pick back up when you were ready to record again. And the story would be edited in that same essence, where it would just go on based on how you captured the moment. So this has been, we would say, advanced in our social media outlets, in which you can now record your stories, and then it will just play the next one as they are selected or edited. So this is the same way. This documentary is going to take you again to many places throughout the district that some you have passed every single day of your life, but you may not have known the specific history that makes this place so spectacular. So you're going to learn a lot, even if these are familiar areas of our community. So just sit back, enjoy it, make time to actually watch the entire video. It's so informational, and I promise you it's going to touch your heart and mind in ways that it has not been done before, and that's really special. And please, after you've reviewed this, make sure that you follow us on all of our social media networks. Everything is very simple. Just elect Reggie Hill. So if you go to the website, www.electreggiehill.com. If you go on Facebook, just type in Elect Reggie Hill. You get on Twitter, @Elect Reggie Hill. You get on Instagram, @Elect Reggie Hill. If you go to YouTube, Elect Reggie Hill. So we made it as simple as possible to be engaged, and you're going to have to be on these social media networks to really know everything that's going on, okay? And I would be remiss if I didn't encourage you. August the 24th, 2021, while I am hoping that every resident of District 2 will support me in this candidacy to represent you all, I only want you to make sure that you vote, okay? Too many people, again, as I will mention later in this video, have fought, they've bled, and they've died for us to be able to exercise this right. And I feel at minimum, we could at least go and do that. So without any further ado, enjoy this story. This is just like days in the life of Reggie Hill. I'm going to take you from where I'm actually presenting a petition to the Mobile City Council. You'll get to see a couple of those instances as well. You'll get to see me when I was online with the Pass It On show. This was hosted by Mr. Robert Battles, WGOK 900, where I and Councilman and mayoral candidate Fred Richardson were panelists. And then you're going to see me go to all of these places that have really been a crucial part of my life and the makeup of my personality within District 2. So thank you for tuning in. Feel free to reach out to us at any time. If you want to send us any direct messages, of course, you can go to the website. We have a chat option or a comment section, subscription section. Of course, you visit those social media outlets at Elect Reggie Hill. And if you want to send a direct email, send that to candidate.hilldistrict2@gmail.com. So that's candidate.hilldistrict2@gmail.com. I look forward to meeting with anyone who's ready. I look forward to talking with everybody who's ready to talk. And I just look forward to moving forward together. Bless you, good people. Enjoy this official campaign video.
Reggie, regarding Resolution 6297.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
members
sir.
of the council, in the absence of our mayor, to Public Safety Director Barber, citizens and stakeholders of the city of Mobile, good morning. Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment for the record to thank the city clerk's office and just to commend them for the work that they do to ensure the accessibility of working along with the city of Mobile, and I'm before their service to our city. I'm out today to speak about 60297, and it's about urging this letter. And it's interesting how we got to this point. It seems that we're still discussing how to respond to shooters versus tackling the issues directly of what we need to do that systematically has caused people to continue to be engaged in these type of efforts. In his essay, Civil Disobedience, published in 1849, American writer Henry David Thoreau argued that an individual should do what his moral conscience, not the law, tells him is right. If he does not do this, government will quickly become the agents of injustice. And that may be a very controversial statement, but I believe it's something that can prelude to me commending the councilman from District 3 for even being brave enough to put something on the table, to actually put something together that could cause a discussion and potentially the conversation that could lead to a solution. But we are more so now passively colluding with vehicles of injustice, being distracted from the weapons instead of actually focusing on the. Again, that might have been a lot to catch, but we're colluding with this idea of being distracted by the weapon instead of focusing on the person. One comment that I brought up about 2 or 3 weeks ago was the idea that if we're saying that there are thieves taking these guns, then they're thieves before they're shooters. So there's something that has to be leading them to being that. We have to be able to look at that. We often hear the question about, well, how did they get to this point? I believe that if we can look at the prison ratios being built based on third grade reading scores, we know that those who are normally not reading well are the ones that ended up on this pathway. If we look at high numbers of disciplinary infractions, we know that those people who are acting up, getting in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension, they're usually ones that end up going towards the same route here before. Last week, I brought some information about an exploratory committee that we put together with my nonprofit organization, with information directly in District 5, information directly with the administration, where a lot of young people have been engaged about how to come up with a solution. Also, I have about 250 surveys right here as well that young people have done through our high school. And I'll just read to you a few questions. Do you think that people today are more concerned with being accepted by others, that they lack the ability to make their own decisions? That's very interesting to me, that would be a question when we look to other cities. Often for examples, when we can innovate those things right here. If you can run for a position in government, which would you run for and why? A lot of them didn't even know most of the positions in government, but yet the laws impact them so much. Is violence a problem in society today, or is it something exaggerated by the news and media? Why not? And then they even ask questions about public safety in regards to how do we better prepare for natural disasters. So the idea of how to actually tackle these public safety issues are right here with the young people that are right here in your city. All 7 districts. All 7 districts. But we're going to have to be able to come to the table together collectively if we actually want to get to a solution. We've been doing some serious research on how this could happen. We have results. We've seen, now I don't want to make this a religious thing, but we have kids in the program who went from atheists and now they're writing music about God. A kid who's been in Strickland, been in Alta Point, they're making complete turnarounds with their entire lives. Not that we are just this great organization, it's just that we're where they are. We're taking a different approach instead of just continuing a long, drawn-out conversation that has been the same really since any of us were young, our parents. You know, this is not a rocket science thing. And so I'd just like to end by saying I would like to move more from quantitative data to qualitative data. We can easily put numbers together and say, well, we had this many over here, we had this many here and did that. A lot of these areas in the community did not look like they did 50 years ago. So who's to say that it won't be in some other place in the future? Who's also to say that we haven't seen outbreaks in other areas that we wouldn't normally see them occurring now? So we can look at numbers and we can put all that there, or we can look at qualitative results that people who are aligned with this trajectory of doing these things, if they have made a difference and a turnaround in their life, those are the type of practices that we need to look at. And I believe that that would be the best step forward. We can send a resolution asking that they release more resources from urban and rural development in the education funding so that we can actually look into these studies and do something that's actually going to make a difference. Thank you for your time.
And other communications to the council. Reggie Hill regarding resolution 21735. This is the Parks and Recreation ADA Consulting Services.
Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
Members of the council, to the administration, citizens, stakeholders, the city of Mobile, good morning. Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I rise today to speak on the 21735 regarding the contract. I believe the name, if I'm pronouncing this right, is Skolsky. And I know there was a contract that was put together before with assessments of the Park and Recreation Department, and I was kind of unaware about this one, and I saw some information within the package that was prepared, so I just wanted to ask a couple of questions and see if we can get some clarification on that. It was saying that there would not be an increase from the contract, but there weren't any specificities as to if the only amount was the 175K. And so I just wanted to see if that was the amount that was allotted, because I know it said for phase 3 and 4, it would be 25K. And I know that should be in that bundle from the original amount. So I just want to know if it was just 175K for the entire project.
Yes, that's administrative. Mr. West?
I don't have that information, but we can certainly have it for you between now and the next week. This is the first read.
Okay, and I only have 2 more questions. The first 2 phases have been completed, which is good to know moving forward with how we're going to progress with our parks and recs. And it said in the first part, which is labeled as the accessibility assessment of parks and facilities, and there were a little over 1,400 deficiencies that were identified, but there were recommendations made for each of these deficiencies. And I just want to know, how can the public be granted the details of that information, Mr. Chairman? Just know what the deficiencies were and what recommendations were made by this consulting company.
I believe, and Mr. West, unless you wanted to address that particular question, I believe that probably the best source would be Ms. Shonda Smith, who's our new Senior Director over Public Parks and Rec. I'm having a community meeting tonight in your community, and Ms. Smith is slated to be one of the speakers, and I'm sure she would be available to answer that question to your satisfaction then.
Absolutely. And just for the record, in case our acting chief of staff can answer this one. I'll just ask my final question.
Yes, sir.
In phase 2, which was titled the comprehensive review of policies, practices, and procedures, and this was the one I feel is probably the most important because the policies and practices are supposed to reflect every center across the city and not just particular areas. And it was said that there were findings and recommendations through a summary, and I just want to know if anyone has had access to that summary, and if so, who was that presented to?
That Ms. Smith probably would be the one who would have access to that summary. And so I would just advise you to make a mental note to engage her this evening to see, if you're able to make it, to see whether or not she can get you those summaries for you to review.
And just for clarity, if those answers are not available with the director, would there be anyone in particular that I need to communicate with to get that
I'd probably see
information?
Mr. Paul Wesh.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
If I could comment on this,
Sure.
if I'm not mistaken, and I know the contract goes back a while, and they went to all the different parks and met with people. It's my understanding the report is supposed to be presented to council for our review. So there should be some document, whether it's online or whatever. I do believe that was part of the contract. Okay. So hopefully, since it's being extended, it's obviously more things need to go in. I think your question about the 25K is pertinent too, because you're triggering, what I recall. But again, this was a report that all council people, because we all have parks in our district and rec centers, and we were going to be given the information as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Into annexation.
Okay, Reggie. When I talked to you the other day, you talked about some statistics as it related to expenditure of funds. What were some of those?
Absolutely. Well, first, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be on, and I'm glad to share this time with the councilman from District 1. I want to highlight two things before I get directly into the numbers. And the first piece is the idea of the fear tactic model that I believe is being pushed on from the administration and some other members of the council to encourage the people to support this annexation. And then the next piece I would like to discuss, and which is going to answer your original question about those figures, is how we've been allocating resources as it relate with this administration in position of power the way that it is. I believe that we should be very vigilant if we're going to give this administration this kind of power. We see even in the federal level where they always want to amp up the military and they use fear as a reason to do that. This is the same thing that's happening on the local level, only with the police force. When I spoke to the city council last week, I addressed the idea that to me, it seemed that this was only a way to beef up the budget for the public safety department. And then if you live in District 2, you would have seen some of the mailers that came out where they actually put that in your face that this is really what it's about. We're looking at this idea of where we would see an increase of about $2.2 million that we would gain from those taxes that come in from those individuals. But we also see where the public safety director has called for an increase of about 45 additional police officers. But if we look at the amount of what the salary is to bring on those members to the force, that will equal the amount of money that we're supposed to be having. And so we're looking at it as it's being pushed, again, this fear piece about economic development. And we have no rationale to believe that this will be an actual economic development increase for the city, because they want to say, well, one of the council members told me, well, you're only looking at that taxation piece. You're not looking at the potential grants. Well, we've seen plenty of grants that have come to the agenda that have been approved to apply for that we may not have received. As well, we have seen grants come to the agenda that were approved, but the resources weren't used and allocated the way that it was presented to the body. So from a citizen's point of view, particularly those who are in areas that are underserved, like, for example, I've shared this with the councilman that's here today as well as other members. We look at that penny tax, the $21 million that comes in. Districts 1 through 3, I feel personally, should have a different allocation based on the need in the area. These are the same things that are going to be addressed when we bring in different areas to enlarge our city. Now they will have more control to determine how we're going to spend these resources. And so once again, they're going to push it as an economic development increase, but it's actually going to be hindering those who are least served, who are mostly overlooked. And so the numbers to me, from what I've seen, and I'm welcome to be corrected by anyone, would not actually benefit the city of Mobile.
Okay, Councilman Richardson.
Mhm.